came out on top. I like the word interesting. Well, I've been in a bit of a background. I'm originally from Wilmington, Delaware. Moved here in 1997 to be with my then girlfriend, now wife of just over 25 years. And, have always been in real estate development, love what I do, don't plan on stopping anytime soon. And in the late 90s, I worked on a large project in Orlando called 55 West. It's catty corner to the new basketball stadium right off of I-4 there. My partner, Frank Bombeek, and I had been interested in the Channel District for some time. We formed our company, Mercury Advisors, in 2003. A week later, we put what is now Grand Central and Kennedy under contract. At the time, the Channel District was a good bit different than it is right now. One of the things that drew me to it was there was nothing worth saving. Nothing. There weren't any historic buildings or anything that of substance that had any really great staying power or anything. So it was a blank canvas, which made it easier for development. I think that's one of the challenges the Central Business District has is you do have some really neat old structures, but there's not a lot happening with some of them. That's unfortunate. But the Channel District didn't have that issue. So we, got the property under contract. We started the rezoning process. During that, we had a consultant who was involved with Stageworks, and they came to us and said, hey, we've got this theater company. At the time, I think they'd been there for 15 years or so.
Something like that. Yeah.
They were an established theater company, and they asked if we could, as part of our development, incorporate them. So when we went in for our rezoning, we did incorporate them, and we put them on the site plan and vested it. So that way, a lender or an investor or somebody else couldn't come back later and say, well, you did this, it was kind of nice, but can you undo it because it's not making us any money? So we had that in our plan. We also were able to go higher than was currently permitted. That's not the case in the district anymore, but it was back then. The city did not, they were in the process of forming the CRA, but it wasn't completed at that point. And the city really didn't have any type of plan to incentivize the arts or anything like that. We thought it would help us get our rezoning. It did. And we also had a long-range plan that having a successful professional theater company at Grand Central would help the rest of the retail tenants that we hoped that someday would come, because nobody lived down there, and there was nobody in our retail for several years after we built it. I remember Shannon Bankin did a pretty good hit piece on us about how dumb we were to build all the retail that we did. Well, I'm pleased to report that last year we sold the retail for about just over $37 million. And to give you an idea of what that means in time, when the CRA started in 2003, the entire value of about 220 acres of the entire Channel District was on the tax rolls for about $38 million. The Channel District CRA is really a poster child for what a successful CRA is in terms of revenue generation, the people that live there, and the creation of a walkable neighborhood. So, what we did, and the part that Stageworks played in that, was something that was focused. We had the idea from the very beginning. We didn't think it up in the middle and then try to shoehorn it in. It was always there. The space that they occupy and now own was set up to have, basically two-level space, so we could have their back of the house, their dressing rooms, the area for the lights and all that type of thing. It was designed to incorporate them, and it worked out just great. I'll let the other two ladies talk about their fundraising prowess and our encouragement to, maybe when you don't have all the money in the bank, to get going. So, Stageworks has been open for, how long, Karla? Over 10 years.
40, well, your space?
Yeah,
since 2012.
So over 10 years. And one of the things that we did is when we sold the retail space, we held Stageworks out. And we sold them their space for nominal consideration. I believe that's either $10 or $100 now in the state of Florida. So they now own it forever. always concerned that once, our plan was always to sell the retail at some point, but after we were gone, we wanted to make sure that they would be there forever, and we have. So, what I would tell you is certainly, come down, see a play at Stageworks, and there's a great little Italian restaurant there called Cena. Has anybody ever been to Cena? Yeah. Or any of you that have not been to Cena, shame on you. I'm a part owner in Cena, and we have a fairly famous chef who was on a little TV show called Beat Bobby Flay and beat him.
Oh, wow.
So very excited about that, and we're very excited that hopefully what we've done at Grand Central creates an example for other folks in my industry to say, hey, when you're doing a big multi-use building, and there's always room for the arts. If there isn't, you're not doing so. If the numbers are that tight in the very beginning, you're not doing something right. So there's always room for the arts. There's always things that you can do. The other thing that our company did is the Madison Street Park, right behind Stageworks and Grand Central. We donated a third of that land, so the city could buy the other 2/3 and build it. And that's adjacent to another project we worked on called Channel Club, which is home to Tampa's first urban grocery store, Publix. So, the Channel District really has become that urban, walkable neighborhood that 20 years ago I thought it could be. It took a little longer than we thought. We took some detours, certainly the economy did in 2008. But, we're thrilled that everything's worked out with Stageworks. And I'm certainly happy, available, and open to talk to any of the leaders in the city about how we did it, why we did it, and how other people can do it in the future, and how the city can actually encourage folks and help them do it. Lord knows, Bill and I, perhaps, we didn't get off to the best start together, but we're great friends now. And the CRAs are now very successful, and it's perhaps the only time in my business career that I've ever seen a government organization have more money than they can spend. Have more money than they can spend. So that's an accomplishment. And we're certainly thrilled to be here. Great to be here today. This is my first time here. And I'd like to hand it over to Karla from Stageworks to give you a little bit more detail on the theater itself.
Thank you. What?
They brought more coffee out.
Oh, they brought more coffee out. That's the announcement of it to me.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there more
That's
sandwiches? Because I'm starving.
You have to sound good. I think they can hear you.
Okay. My name is Karla Hartley. I'm the producing artistic director at Stageworks Theater. Rumors of my demise were greatly exaggerated. It was such a blessing to have this opportunity come our way. Andrea Graham, who was mentioned earlier, was the primary fundraiser at the theater at the time. She managed a outstanding capital campaign that raised, I want to say, in the neighborhood of $800,000. So what we were then in a place where we were trying to figure out, should we go ahead and make that leap of faith, right? And under the notion that if you build it, they will come. And that's exactly what we did. So we ended up financing the last, I want to like $500,000 of it through Bank of Tampa, which was also a blessing. We built it out. The build out was about $1.3 million. We raised, as I say, $800,000 through the community, and then another $500,000. Does that math work? Kind of, yes. And it was a leap of faith, because as Ken says, I mean, there was not a lot down there at the time. As a third generation native of Tampa, a bit of a unicorn, I understand. I've been down there. There were small businesses down there. The Warehouse Theater was down there with Rosemary and Patrick. Rosemary Orlando had been running that theater. There was a little dance studio. There was Arts Unlimited at the time. So there was little arts pockets, right? And we were, but we were sort of, they were on the, it was not sustainable for them in that moment in time, right? So we came in and we were able to due to Frank and Ken's generosity and kindness, move into the space, build it out to be what we wanted it to be. That was through Sierra Construction and several other very, very kind corporate sponsorship things. And we were able to build the space out in a way that made sense for us. We are still there. The company is actually 40 years old now. This is our 40th anniversary season. And when you guys talked, it was more like 22 years. You 15. Math is not my thing, but so we're now in the midst of thinking about what's next. So when Ken and Frank said we're selling the retail, but we want you to retain the space, and the gift that they gave us was in the ranks of $2.45 million. It was astounding to me. I was shocked and blessed and really grateful that had happened. Because now what we have is not just a building, right? We have security. Artists in this community have security because they know now that we are there, that we will be there. And we have a lovely little thing called collateral. Because we do have a strategic plan in the works, so we're working on how we can grow and build from here. Since this is a great stepping stone, this gift, and we also got a gift from the Duckwall Foundation around that same time to help us with our green initiative, with new lighting instruments and all that stuff. So we're in the midst of now a strategic plan of where we go from here. And this is the master of the Excel spreadsheet. Are you the master of the Excel spreadsheet? So this is Jen Scher. She is our the chair of the board. We used to say president, but we don't anymore. The chair of the board. I'm the president, for the record. I'm not sure about what my seal is going to be, but I'm working on that. But here's Jen Scher.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jennifer Scher. I'm the chair of the board for this year, and I'm very honored to be the chair for the 40th anniversary season that we've been celebrating this year. I'm also part owner and vice president of SSG Commercial, which happens to also be a commercial real estate developer here in town. So how I became chair and how I got involved, I'll do that very quickly. My family has been a supporter of Stageworks since day one. My grandmother, Roberta Golding, who many of you probably know, was a supporter from pretty much the beginning. When I moved back to town, Andrea found me, sought me out, and told me, "You're going on the board," and so I listened to her, and here we are. She knew about my passion for the arts and my background, particularly in the theater as well. And so I've been on the board now for a little over 3 years. And at about a year and a half ago, Karla presented some ideas about the 10-year future for the theater. And my mouth dropped open, and she said, "Oh, Jen, you have something to say, don't you?" And I always have something to say, if you know me. And I said, "I do. I think this is a great plan, but if this is the plan we're doing, we need to ramp up." And so, of course, because I said that, I then became in charge of our strategic plan, and now I'm the chair. So that's how I'm up here. I do, before I go any further, want to thank several of our board members who are here. If you want to just stand and wave for us. I see several of you out there. Thank you. We have a fantastic board right now. We couldn't do anything without their support. So I don't want to give all the details of our strategic plan away. That's not my job today. But there are a few things I can hint at. Obviously, we are working on this green initiative to turn our theater into a more eco-friendly place while also improving our lighting, which is desperately in need of some improvements at this point. We're also working on a plan to redo the lobby space to make it a better atmosphere for our attendees, but also to make it a better community gathering space so that we can start inviting the community into the space and being more inclusive and part of the Stageworks family. So those are just a few of the things that we're working on in the strategic plan. If you're more interested, if you want to get involved, join a committee, join the board, please come talk to me afterwards. We would love that. Obviously, we're going to be raising lots of money and doing lots of work to make these things happen. So these are just some of the things we can do, but we can only do it with the generous support that we've had from our long-term supporters, and certainly our space is a huge catalyst to allow us to do this and has allowed us to be the longest running not-for-profit professional theater here in the Tampa Bay region. So thank you.